Hello everyone, I'm Clemens and this is my presentation on the topic 2.2 different organizational structures. In this presentation, we're going to be using a combination of the following business terms in order to accurately describe each diagram. So the first diagram is a diagram which shows an organizational chart which represents the hierarchy in a company. Each level is called a level of authority of command, where we have the bottom, middle, and top levels. As one moves up the organizational chart, the level of responsibility and authority increases, whereas one moves down the chart, the level of command decreases, and vice versa. This can be seen by the arrows upwards and downwards corresponding to the responsibility and authority and corresponding to command. In the second diagram is an example of the span of control, as we can see how many people each director can control. Furthermore, it is also a display of the hierarchy, levels of hierarchy, as those on a higher hierarchy have more power, whereas lower level workers take in orders from higher ones. In addition, it also includes the chain of command, as instructions are passed down the chain, from the directors to the individual section directors to the workers. Lastly, it is also a display of bureaucracy, as it has a clear hierarchy and rigid division of labor. In the third diagram, we can see examples of two different types of span of controls and hierarchical organizational structure. In the first picture, we can see that it is a relatively incomplex work, as the span of control is very great, meaning that one manager can manage over a large quantity of other workers. Therefore, we can assume that the work is not as complex, as each manager can manage over a large quantity of workers. Whereas in the second picture, we can see that the span of control is not as great, as each manager can only manage over a smaller number of people. Therefore, we can assume that the work is rather complex. Furthermore, in the second diagram, we can see an example of a hierarchical organizational structure, as there are a few department bosses or managers ruling over a few others, therefore forming a pyramidal structure. Lastly, in the first diagram, we can also see an example of delayering, as the middle managers are removed in order to decrease the size of the organization and allow senior managers more control and possibly avoid flatter. And the fourth diagram is an example of centralization, as the top few managers hold the mass amount of decision-making power at the top of the organization's hierarchy. In slide 5, we can see an example of a flat organization, as it's a decentralized business structure which allows for employees to make decisions on their own. Diagram 6 is an example of a collaborative organizational structure, as can be seen which can be seen in the overlapping Venn diagrams, as the individual organizational parts, such as marketing and accounting, overlap and are not separate. In slide 7, we can see an example of an organizational chart by region, which also utilizes a decentralization, as it is the transfer of decision-making power and the assignment of accountability and responsibility, which is accompanied by a delegation of equal authority to individuals or units at all levels of the organization. This becomes apparent as we can see that the different managers operate in different countries, however still hold the same accountability and responsibility. Slide 8 is a project-based organization, as we can see a divisional structure, as the organization is organized by products, with the correlating vice presidents, managers, and workers below. Slide 9 is an example of an organizational chart by function and product, as each section is subdivided by products with different product managers for each different product, which, however, still correspond with the same vice presidents, such as marketing or finance. Furthermore, human resources is a separate entity of itself, does not correspond with any other VPs or product managers. However, is still governed by the same president. And example 10 is an example of a handy-rock, shamrock organization, as there are 3 different bodies which are differentiated from a normal tall hierarchy structure, as this allows for more employee enrichment and can in theory lead to high productivity. This is visually represented by the 3 different leaves still attached to the same stem. Yeah, thank you all. This is my presentation on the different organizational structures in business.